Good morning, everyone. When I was a little kid, I had one of those really old TVs, you know, the huge ones that sat on the floor that had a wood casement around them. And we had a antenna, you know, like not on top of the TV, but actually like outside on top of the house. And we didn't have a way to remotely control the antenna. Now, I don't know if any of you had a TV set up like this, but comment below if you did, tell me about it, because it was a whole experience watching TV on this TV. So we only got a handful of channels, I think, maybe 5. Excuse my throat. And the way you change the channel is you had to run out the side door and go around to the back of the house, and there was a pole that had the antenna at the top. And you had to twist it and try to get the antenna at the top to get just right in the right configuration. So it was me, my older brother, and I had 2 younger siblings, but they were really small. So it was really just me and my older brother managing the system. And how we would do it is we'd choose a channel on TV, you know, rotary dial. So maybe we'd pick channel 5 or channel 12. Maybe that was the one with the cartoons. Anyways, we'd pick channels. And then one of us would run out back and twist, and the other one would yell and tell us if the reception was good. And we would take turns to make it fair. So one of us would run and the other one would yell and like, okay, it's good, it's good, it's good. And then we'd run back in, okay? And we would get up at 5 in the morning on Saturdays and run into the living room, you know, with our blankets and stuff, and we'd turn on the TV. And I still remember the feeling of the wet grass on my feet. We would just go in our bare feet and run out in the cold, wet grass and turn the antenna and then come back in. And it was so exciting. We just couldn't wait for these cartoons every Saturday. And there was one problem, though. And that this TV was a hand-me-down. It wasn't that good. And the vertical hold would flip sometimes. So what that means is that if you don't have a TV like this, or you're too young for this story, the whole frame would flip, so it looked like you'd see black at the bottom and the top and up the sides, and it was almost like you could see videotape rolling, right? And you could see the screen would flip, 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 and so the screens would just like slide upwards and out of the screen like this, and you couldn't see what was going on. And it would start off kind of slow, and you kind of ignore it, and then it would start going flip, 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 until it was just kind of like scrolling and you couldn't see anything. So this would drive us nuts, and it was kind of a regular occurrence. So we had a solution. And our solution to this problem was a huge book. I think it was like a Bible story book with pictures. So it was like probably this thick, heavy. We left it on top of the TV. And whenever the vertical hold would flip, one of us would go up there, pick it up, and drop it on the TV. And this effect somehow would make the vertical hold stabilize. We didn't know how it worked, but it worked in the moment, so we kept doing it. Sometimes it makes me think of the way we operate in life, where we're having problems and we want to fix it, and we have sort of like our go-to method, but I'm not sure that it's really good in the long term, so more on that later. So every morning we'd do this. We'd run in there, we'd set up the antenna, we'd get the channel, and the vertical hold would flip, and we'd smack the TV, and like, yes, and we'd sit back down and watch our cartoons. It was great times because there was no fighting over the channel, because there was only one channel that had the cartoons, as I remember. I think there was only one channel. We sometimes got up so early that those bars were on the screen. If anybody knows what those are called, you know, like those kind of red, pink, yellow, red, like weird colored bars that show that there's nothing on your TV yet, like nothing has arrived. There was not 24 hours TV. That was on the screen, and we would wait so that we wouldn't miss a second of the cartoons. But one day, vertical hold was flipping. You know, we went for a usual solution. My older brother went up there, picked it up, bang, dropped the book. But this time it went bang. And a puff of smoke came out the back of the screen. And we were like, uh-oh. And that was the last of that TV. And I don't remember how long it took us to get a new TV. But that TV broke on that day. It actually popped. Something in the back fizzed and popped and smashed. And there was no getting it back, and we were really disappointed, and we felt kind of guilty. Like, oh, we've been whacking the TV all this time, and maybe it's our fault it's breaking, right? Maybe we did this. But then again, we had no other solution, so just leave it as it is, right? We had to let ourselves off the hook a little bit. I'm telling you this story because it reminds me of the way people operate when their partner is doing things they don't want them to do, or treating them in ways they don't want to be treated. For example, your husband, leaves his shoes in the middle of the floor. You hit him with a book. No, it's like you maybe make a comment, right? You make like a critical comment, like, your shoes are always in the floor. Why are your shoes always in the floor? And he's like, ugh, he grumbles, but he moves them. So then you think, well, that worked, right? You don't think that, but your subconscious wiring goes, yeah, that worked. Oh, hey, Melanie's telling me the name of those colored bars, SMPTE. Wow, awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Melanie. And so we try these tactics to get our partners to behave the way we want them to behave. And sometimes it works a little bit. Sometimes if you're a little bit critical, your partner does what you ask. Or maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum. Maybe you try to be super nice. So your partner may be a bit grumpy and irritable, and so you give them lots of space. You cater to their needs. You get them food. You make them happy. You turn down the music. And that's how you prevent them from malfunctioning and acting in ways that you don't like. But in both these cases, you're causing little micro damages every time. And those micro damages eventually cause an explosion. It can cause an explosion in a variety of ways. Your partner can cheat on you. That's one kind of explosion. You can become so lonely and burnt out that you fall out of love with your partner. That's another kind of explosion. In any case, the way that we handle the micro disappointments and frustrations and triggers is the key to how our relationship will evolve and how it will end up. When you criticize someone, you create distance from them. So they go, oh, this person doesn't like me. Oh, this person causes me pain. This person says things I don't like that makes me feel defective or makes me feel shame. So I might do what they say sometimes. But you know what? I don't want to hold their hand. I don't want to cuddle with them and watch a movie. I don't want to take them on a date. I don't want to make love to them because I associate them with pain. This is why criticism is so dangerous in relationships. On the other side of the fence, if you tend to be pleasing and fawning and catering to your partner, what this results in is being taken for granted and disrespected. So your partner never gets an accurate, honest feedback about who you are, what you need, and what kind of person you are. So therefore, they treat you with disrespect. They don't really pay attention. They don't really consider you. They might talk down to you. They might just kind of treat you like the help because you actually are not showing up as your full self. You're depriving them of the information they need to be a really loving, caring partner. So in that case, you're the one who's creating distance. Like you're being nice, but it's creating distance with you because the way they treat you back, you like them less and less. You don't want to cuddle with them. You don't want to make love to them. You don't want to listen to their problems because you're like, look at all I've done for you already, right? Like, how can you? How can you come here and asking for more from me? Because I've already given you everything. And I find a lot of my clients are in that boat, right? It's like, you're asking me to change my approach to my husband. I've given him everything already. And I'm so sorry, but you gave him things he didn't need. You gave him things that made it worse. Through no fault of your own. Through no fault of your own. If this resonates with you and you're like, oh my God, yes, message me. I can help. This is what I do. How do I help women in these complicated situations where it's like, this is all these little tangled threads, right? His feelings, his personality, your personality, the kids, the in-laws, the job, the culture, the communication styles. It can feel so overly complicated and tangled, right? And most of my clients, I can say they come to me and they go, this is it. If this doesn't work out, we're not going to work out. Because from their vantage point, it's too complicated. Like maybe it's not meant to be. But from my vantage point, it's never really that complicated. There's predictable patterns, right? There's predictable patterns because we're all human. The key is that we learn to do behaviors that heal instead of behaviors that hurt. And this is something that nobody taught you to do. This is probably something you never saw your parents do. This is things you don't see on movies and you don't see on social media. What we see out in the world is fantasy presentations of romantic partnerships where you never have to ask, they always know, where people always respond to each other's requests with ease and grace, where the romantic gestures are just right on point, right at the right time. Or we see a lot of anger and dissatisfaction and resentment. I saw a reel recently where the woman was reading a comment that said, the PR for marriage is not very good right now. And I thought, that's so true. That's so true. People are thinking, if this is what marriage is, it doesn't seem like a good deal. It doesn't seem like something I want to be a part of. And that's because we don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to choose, and we also don't know how to maintain and grow feelings of love through no fault of our own. Sorry, I got hair on my chapstick. I hate it when that happens. We have instincts that aggravate one another. The things that we take personally, our partner doesn't understand. The things that they take personally, we don't understand, right? We're like, why? What is the issue here? Why are you making this such a big deal? I do so much for you. And the truth is we usually have wonderful intentions. Both people actually love each other. Both people actually care and are doing their best. And yet, we step on each other's toes, hurt each other's feelings, feel taken for granted, lonely, exhausted. And it doesn't have to be that way. I could go on and on about this. I'm making a commitment to doing more storytelling here, just sharing the news on my Facebook profile, also in my Facebook group, and also on my Instagram account. So if you want to be part of these little riffs about life and relationships, message me, follow me, comment below. I'll make sure you hear all about it. And I'm doing this because I realize that it's hard when you're on the outside and you haven't transformed a marriage, you haven't seen how to bring out the best in your partner, it's hard to really grasp how that could work. Like, you've already done all the things. You've already smacked the TV with the book. You've already played with the little antenna to get it pointing the right way. You did all the things, right? Like, it should work. But you don't understand the machine you're dealing with. You don't understand how your partner ticks. That's why you're actually bringing out the worst in them. That's why they used to be a great guy. That's why you married them. That's why you were like, hey, this person stopped. They tricked me. They sucked me in and then stopped doing all the good things they used to do. There's lots of reasons for that. It's not all on you, but I want you to know you have a lot of power to bring back the romance, chemistry, harmony that caused you to fall in love in the first place. You can do that. I can help you do that with my one-on-one coaching, Magical Marriage Mentorship. I can help you do that with my digital program, Happily Married Woman. All of the information is there for you. And I want you to know, people sometimes ask me, is there a book I should read? Is there like a thing? There isn't. There isn't a book. I have read probably hundreds of books, and I've cobbled together all the pieces and pulled the threads and woven them together into a tapestry because there's not a lot of solid information that puts all the pieces together. Not for women who are doing it without their husband's involvement, right? You can read a ton of great books on relationship that have great exercises that if your husband was like, awesome, let's do these, they would work. I'm not saying I'm the only one who figured it out. I'm just saying that 9 times out of 10, the reason you're here, the reason you're like, I'm screwed, this is terrible, is because your husband won't come to the table. He's not having conscious conversations with you. He's not reading the books with you. He's irritated. He's distant, he's reactive. He's not going to sit down and talk about his feelings with you. And so that's why my approach is for if your partner is unwilling and still loves you, still wants to stay married probably, but is like reactive to doing the work, you can do the work on your own. You can do the work with yourself and then share that new emotional safety with him. Because we're always responding to each other. We're always reacting off each other. Always. You know that his emotions affect you. You know that his behaviors affect you. Well, the same thing goes the other way. So you can be the influence. You can be the center of gravity instead of just reacting to however your husband is operating. Or your wife. I'm here to help you dudes too. If you are eager to do the work, I'm happy to help. So I'm going to sign off, and I want you to comment below what stood out for you. I want you to message me with your feedback. I want you to message me with your questions, because I've been doing this work for a long time now. And sometimes I forget what the questions I had were at the beginning. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, obviously, when it's not obvious at all. So I want to help you with the things that are still coming up for you, like how does this even work? Why does it work? And what your struggles are, so that I can paint you a picture of what the real life love story looks like, what a truly healthy, healing marriage looks like. Because the truth is, you're either in a downward spiral or you're in an upward spiral. People don't like it when I say this because they're like, oh, we're kind of maintaining. You're not maintaining. You're going down. If you're in an upward spiral, you know. Okay, you know, because you build and you get better and you see new responses and you see growth and you see healing and you see transformation. That's an upward spiral. That's what happens when you do my work. If you're in a downward spiral, you are either ignoring one another, shutting down your emotions, occasionally having fights, sweeping it under the rug, saying it's no big deal, focusing on work, focusing on the kids. You think that's maintenance, and it's not. Because people need love, acceptance, affection, romance, and physical connection. We need that stuff. We cannot put it on the shelf and stay in love with each other. We cannot put it on the shelf and not close our hearts. Even though we might think we can and we might tell ourselves we can, it's not true. So don't let that downward spiral go so far that one of you decides it's never going to work. One of you decides it's too late. Even when people decide that, it's not true. It's never too late. But the stories we tell ourselves are so powerful that if you decide it's too late and you decide you want to do it anymore, nobody can convince you otherwise. It's up to you in the end. It's what you want of your life. It's what you want of your marriage. I love you all. I love talking about this stuff. Please message me. I can't wait to hear from you. Have a wonderful day.